What if I told you? Not everyone who thinks they're chosen actually is. Some people wear the label, ta-da. But deep inside, they're completely disconnected from their purpose. If this video finds you, it's not by accident. Because today we're exposing the truth most people aren't ready to hear. 8 clear signs you are not a chosen one. And if even one of these signs describes you, you better keep watching. This may be your only wake-up call before it's too late. So many people walk around believing they are chosen just because they've suffered, because they feel different, or because they've read something online that told them they were special. But let me tell you something. Being different doesn't automatically mean you're divine, and being in pain doesn't always mean you're on a prophetic path. The truth is, not everyone is a chosen one. In fact, most people are not. Not because God doesn't love them, but because they refuse to awaken, to surrender, to let go of their ego, and to walk the narrow, lonely, painful path that chosen ones are called to walk. You see, being chosen is not a title. It's a burden. It's not popularity. It's pain. It's not about being seen. It's about being refined in secret. And here's the most terrifying part. Some people were meant to be chosen, but they missed their calling. They rejected correction. They avoided transformation. They chose comfort over growth. So in this video, we're going to expose 8 brutal signs that prove you are not a chosen one. This is not to shame you. This is not to judge you. This is to wake you up before it's too late. Because you might still have time to realign. You might still be able to break free from the patterns that disqualify you. But only if you're willing to face the truth. And truth, real truth, hurts. So take a deep breath. And as you listen to these signs, don't just think about other people. Don't look around you, look within. Because if even one of these signs describes you, you need to go back to the spiritual drawing board. You need to get on your knees. You need to ask God, was I ever chosen? Or did I just assume it because it made me feel important? One of the clearest signs that you are not a chosen one is this. You need other people to confirm your value. You need applause. You need praise. You need likes. You need someone to say, you're amazing, you're special, you're powerful. Because without that, you don't believe it yourself. But here's the truth. Chosen ones walk alone. They are often overlooked, misunderstood, even hated, not celebrated. They don't wait for external validation because they have an internal covenant with God. They don't need the world to see them because heaven already did. If your self-worth rises and falls based on other people's opinions, then you are not yet operating from divine identity. You're still caught in the trap of ego. You're still looking outward to define what only the Spirit can confirm. Chosen ones are not obsessed with being seen. They're focused on seeing clearly. They understand that the path to greatness is often paved with rejection, betrayal, silence, and invisibility. And let me tell you this. There will be seasons where no one supports you, no one claps for you, no one reposts your dreams. And if that kind of silence breaks you, then you were never ready for the weight of being chosen. Because when you're truly chosen, God will strip you of every external source of validation just to teach you how to stand when nobody's watching. Some people don't want to be chosen. They want to be liked. They don't want to carry the cross. They want to carry followers. And that's why they can't be trusted with purpose. That's why God keeps them hidden. not because they don't matter, but because they still crave the world too much to carry the weight of heaven. So ask yourself right now, if no one ever clapped for you again, if no one ever acknowledged your gift, would you still walk in your purpose? Would you still obey? Would you still speak when God tells you to? If your answer is no, then maybe you're not chosen, not yet. One of the clearest signs that you are not a chosen one is this: you need other people to confirm your value. You need applause, praise, likes, someone to tell you, you're amazing, you're special, you're powerful. Without that, you don't believe it yourself. But the truth is, chosen ones walk alone. They are often overlooked, misunderstood, even hated, not celebrated. They don't wait for external validation because they have an internal covenant with God. They don't need the world to see them because heaven already did. If your self-worth rises and falls based on other people's opinions, then you are not yet operating from divine identity. You're still caught in the trap of ego, looking outward to define what only the Spirit can confirm. Chosen ones are not obsessed with being seen. They're focused on seeing clearly. They understand the path to greatness is often paved with rejection, betrayal, silence, and invisibility. There will be seasons where no one supports you, claps for you, or acknowledges your dreams. If that silence breaks you, then you were never ready for the weight of being chosen. When you're truly chosen, God strips you of every external source of validation just to teach you how to stand when nobody's watching. Some people don't want to be chosen. They want to be liked. They don't want to carry the cross. They want followers. That's why they can't be trusted with purpose. God keeps them hidden not because they don't matter, but because they still crave the world too much to carry the weight of heaven. So ask yourself, if no one ever clapped for you again, if no one ever acknowledged your gift, would you still walk in your purpose? Would you still obey? Would you still speak when God tells you to? If your answer is no, maybe you're not chosen. Not yet. One of the most obvious signs that you are not a chosen one is how easily you blend in with the crowd. Chosen ones stand out, not because they seek attention, but because their energy and mission create a natural separation. If you find yourself following the herd, adapting just to be accepted, avoiding anything that might make you different or uncomfortable, then you haven't embraced your unique calling. Blending in is the safe choice, but it is the enemy of destiny. The chosen walk a lonely path precisely because they cannot afford to dilute their purpose. When you try to hide your light to avoid conflict or rejection, you stunt your spiritual growth. The world rewards conformity, but God calls for courage. If you are too comfortable blending in, too scared to disrupt the status quo or challenge what everyone else believes, then you are living a half-life. The mission of a chosen one demands boldness, authenticity, and a willingness to stand alone. So ask yourself, are you willing to risk rejection to walk your path? Or will you keep hiding in plain sight, content with invisibility? Because the truth is, the light you fear to shine may be exactly what the world desperately needs. One of the most obvious signs you're not a chosen one is how easily you blend in with the crowd. Chosen ones don't seek attention. They stand out because their energy, their mission, and their very presence create a natural separation. If you find yourself constantly adapting to fit in, watering down your true thoughts and feelings, avoiding anything that could make you different or uncomfortable, then you haven't fully embraced your unique calling. Blending in might feel safe. It feels like a shield that protects you from judgment, rejection, or conflict. But the cold truth is, blending in is the enemy of destiny. The path to greatness requires boldness, a willingness to be vulnerable and to stand apart, even if it means loneliness. Many who are not chosen spend their entire lives hiding in plain sight, afraid to shine because the spotlight exposes them to risk. The chosen, however, understand that true power lies in authenticity, not approval. When you hide your light to avoid conflict, you stunt your spiritual growth. The world rewards conformity, but God calls for courage. You might be comfortable following the crowd, but this comfort is a prison. The mission of a chosen one demands courage to be different, to disrupt the status quo and to embrace the loneliness that comes with standing for truth. Ask yourself honestly, are you willing to face isolation to fulfill your divine purpose? Or will you keep hiding in the shadows, content with blending in? The light you fear to shine could be exactly what the world needs. But if you refuse to shine, that light remains lost and you remain unfulfilled. Fear of isolation is a major sign that you are not yet walking the path of a chosen one. Those truly called to greatness understand that solitude is not a curse, but a necessary part of their journey. Isolation is the crucible where your spirit is refined, where distractions fall away, and where your true identity emerges. If the thought of being alone terrifies you, if you constantly seek company just to avoid silence or emptiness, then you're still attached to comfort rather than calling. Many people confuse loneliness with isolation. Loneliness is a painful feeling, a longing for connection, but isolation chosen for growth is a sacred space. Chosen ones embrace solitude because it allows them to hear the whispers of divine guidance more clearly. They know the crowd often dilutes truth, and only in quiet can the voice of God be loudest. When you fear isolation, you fear your own reflection and the deeper parts of your soul that demand transformation. This fear keeps you tethered to the opinions and presence of others, preventing you from stepping fully into your destiny. The path of the chosen is often lonely, rejected by family, misunderstood by friends, dismissed by one of the most defining challenges that separates the chosen ones from those who are not, is how they respond to pressure and pain. If you find yourself crumbling under even the slightest stress, avoiding difficult emotions or running away from pain at all costs, then you are not yet ready to bear the weight of being chosen. The path of a chosen one is not one of ease or comfort. It is a path forged in the fires of suffering, pressure, and relentless testing. God does not anoint those who seek a smooth journey. He refines those who endure hardship with unwavering faith. Pressure is inevitable. Pain is unavoidable. Yet the chosen ones learn to embrace both as essential tools for growth. Where others see obstacles, they see divine tests, opportunities to prove their commitment and deepen their strength. They understand that pain is not punishment, but purification. Each trial strips away the false layers of the ego, revealing the core of who they truly are. If you recoil at the first sign of adversity, if you look for shortcuts to avoid discomfort, then you are still attached to the temporary pleasures of this world, rather than the eternal purpose God has set before you. The chosen do not escape pain, they welcome it as a teacher. They know that without pressure, diamonds cannot form. Without fire, gold remains raw ore. This inability to handle pressure often manifests as bitterness, frustration, or despair. You might blame others, complain about your circumstances, or lose faith altogether. But the chosen ones maintain a quiet resilience. They carry their burdens with grace and humility, knowing that each hardship brings them closer to their divine destiny. Remember, God's plan for the chosen is not just to survive trials, but to thrive through them. Your pain today is preparing you for the glory of tomorrow. But if you refuse to face it head-on, if you allow pressure to break you instead of build you, then you will remain stagnant, trapped in a cycle of defeat and disillusionment. So ask yourself, when the storm hits, do you stand firm or do you run? Do you trust that the pressure is shaping you, or do you let it crush your spirit? The path of the chosen is a lonely, painful one, but it is also the path of ultimate victory. If you find yourself unwilling or unable to carry this weight, then perhaps you are not yet ready to answer the call. But the good news is this: growth is always possible, strength can be built, pain can be transformed. The question is, will you choose to endure, or will you choose comfort over calling? One of the unmistakable signs that you are not walking the path of a chosen one is how easily you get swept up by trends, popular opinions, and what everyone else is doing. The chosen ones don't follow the crowd. They walk a different road, often lonely and misunderstood because their truth is not shaped by social approval but by divine guidance. If you find yourself constantly chasing after the latest fad, trying to fit into what's cool or accepted, then you are still entangled in the world's illusions rather than anchored in your spiritual mission. Following trends is a form of spiritual distraction. It keeps you busy, entertained, and superficially connected, but far from your true calling. It's easy to fall into the trap of measuring your worth by how well you conform to social expectations or how many followers you have. But conformity is the enemy of purpose. The chosen ones resist the pressure to conform because they know that truth often looks like an outcast, a rebel, or a fool to the masses. The world is designed to keep you distracted with endless noise and fleeting pleasures, so you never have the space or courage to listen to the quiet voice within. If you're constantly caught up in trends, you're trading depth for surface-level popularity. You're sacrificing authenticity for acceptance. You're delaying the moment when you will fully step into your divine identity. Being chosen means being rooted in eternal truth, not temporal approval. It means rejecting the easy path of going with the flow and instead choosing the hard road of standing firm in what God reveals to you. Even if it means being misunderstood or isolated. Ask yourself, are you following your heart and your spirit, or are you just following the crowd? Are you chasing trends that make you feel good temporarily? Or are you seeking the eternal truths that challenge, refine, and transform you? The choice is yours, but remember, the path of the chosen is never the popular one. It's the one that requires courage to be different, to stand alone, and to remain faithful when everyone else turns away. If even one of these signs hit home, consider it a divine wake-up call, a chance to realign your heart and soul with your true purpose. Being chosen is not a reward, it's a responsibility, and it demands everything you have. The question now is, will you step up and claim your calling? Or will you walk away settling for less than what you were born for? If this message resonates with you, don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with someone who needs to hear the truth. Comment below which sign spoke to you the most. Let's start a real conversation about awakening and purpose. And if you're ready to take your spiritual journey seriously, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a powerful wake-up call from this channel. Remember, the path of the chosen is not easy, but it's worth every step. Stay strong, stay faithful, and keep moving forward.